What's good? What's good? Welcome and peace. Sorry, I fucked up the introduction. Peace and welcome to World War Wrestling. Pleasure to have you back. My computer was dying, so I did the women's matches for Monday Night Raw. Now we're going over the men's matches. What I originally wanted to do actually was compare Monday Night Raw to Ring of Honor World's End, but it doesn't look like I'm going to do that. So, JD McDonough, Dominic Mysterio versus Miz and R-Truth. I don't like R-Truth. Like, as a black guy watching wrestling, I find R-Truth like one of the most fucking embarrassing characters ever. Primarily because I seen him in TNA wrestling and I know what he's capable of, and I saw him well up until he left TNA to go to WWE. And here you have a man that could have been an outstanding world heavyweight champion, that could have been an outstanding cruiserweight champion, intercontinental champion, United States champion. Like, R-Truth was literally one of the best wrestlers ever, one of the most athletic wrestlers ever. And then somewhere along the line, just became, I don't even want to say a caricature of all black men because there's other black men on the roster that don't act like R-Truth. But I would just say that the greatest sense of racism in professional wrestling really comes down to what a lot of characters are willing to do, portray, and just display to the mass public. There are a great number of black men that enjoy professional wrestling. Wrestling is largely a white industry. And just like I had a lot of criticism for Bobby Lashley not really being the best role model for black men, that goes 10 times, 4 times, 1,000 times for R-Truth. There's no reason why Ron Killings is doing this character. There's no reason why Ron True Killings is shucking and driving. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It just doesn't. With that, they won the match. It was a weird match. It was a very strange match. It was very confusing what R-Truth thought he was doing or not doing. And you know what? I feel like if he was taking joining the Judgment Day seriously, then it might help his character to have one run, just one run in WWE where Ron the Truth Killings is being dead serious. When he started off, I would say, a pretty serious competitor. A babyface, but a very serious competitor, a legitimate threat, and then they just ran him through the mud since he's been there. And it's to the point that I don't think he can go to another company and recover from what they've done to him. WWE just completely destroyed Ron the Truth Killings' character. I know a lot of it must be him, a lot of it must be voluntarily, such as with the New Day, but you are promoting this primarily to a white audience that does not have a lot of positive images of black men. So even if you're not interested in being pro-black, you can at least give white people positive black role models to relate to and aspire towards. I don't feel like that's happening here. JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio. When I look at JD, I have the same issues that I did with Ivy now. JD McDonough would be a lot better off on AEW. He just does not have the WWE build. These guys are still huge. When I think about a lot of these guys, and I think about them coming to like the main roster from NXT, or I think about them on the main roster already, like Dominic Mysterio. My personal thing is the Brock Lesnar test. I know they have like the airport test to like get you in the door or whatever. Mine is the Brock Lesnar test. Can you beat Brock Lesnar? If you can't, then your spot on the main roster is going to be precarious at best. Because if you can't beat Brock Lesnar, you damn sure can't beat Bobby Lashley. You damn sure can't beat Drew McIntyre. which means you damn sure can't beat Seth Rollins, which means that you damn sure can't beat Roman Reigns, because that's my hierarchy there for guys that seem like they would just fucking murder you in real life or in kayfabe. They would fucking murder you. JD McDonough isn't crossing that list. He might be able to beat Seth Rollins. He might be able to beat Roman Reigns. But I feel like for both of those men, there is a Bobby Lashley and a Brock Lesnar that they do not want to be across the ring with. I don't think Seth Rollins is the pinnacle of what WWE has to offer. Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley are the pinnacle. I don't think that Roman Reigns is the pinnacle. I think that, once again, Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley are the pinnacle. If you can't beat Bobby Lashley or fucking Brock Lesnar, your spot on the main roster is going to be very tenuous at best. It's going to be very tumultuous at best, and you're not really going to understand why you're dealing with what you're dealing with. Now that I'm looking back at my notes, unless I mixed some stuff, there just was not a lot on this match. It just took a long fucking time out of a 3-hour show. Jinder Mahal, my note here is, oh my God, I love him. Jinder Mahal came out there and I think he just cut a promo on what everyone is thinking, what everyone is saying about America. And then you have all these brain dead people in the stands that they can't listen. They can't. Like, I don't know what it is. Dealing with Americans is like dealing with like fucking psychopathic narcissists. No matter what you say to them, it just goes in one ear out the other. No matter what they do to other people, they keep defending their actions. It's really dark. It's really depressing, and it doesn't really make me proud to be an American in any way, shape, or form at all. I just kind of want the whole thing to burn down and start over again. I think that would be best for everybody. And I feel like Jinder Mahal really exposed that. Especially when he caught them with singing the American anthem in his native tongue. That was good. That was good. Because the reality is, that's how people really feel. That's how these racist white people really feel about you. It don't even matter if you're pro-America. It doesn't even matter if you're pro-white people. They just hate you because you're not white. And that's the reality. That's the real deal. They either hate you because you're not white, or they hate you because you're not one of the ultra rich. But there's a lot of motherfucking hatred going on there, Bumpy. At the peak of this promo, though, at the very peak of this promo, you can say Jinder Mahal was just getting started, because for me, like, that was enough. Seeing Jinder Mahal back was great. I love Jinder Mahal's run to begin with. I love Jinder Mahal as a character. You know, the Muhammad Hussein stuff, Hassan, the stuff that just did not work out at the day and age it was at, but was very necessary. You know, it feels to me like WWE is always on, pro wrestling in general is always on the cutting edge of current events. It's always on the cutting edge of pop culture. It's a very pop culture-esque program, if you will. So Jinder Mahal doing his thing, and then he's interrupted by The Rock. Out of anyone that could have possibly, and I don't even think The Rock did a really good job contradicting Jinder or disproving what Jinder said. Honestly, it kind of just proved the point even more, because at least Jinder's been on the show. At least Jinder's been on NXT. He's been bolstering and boosting other champs, and he's been trying to do his thing. He's just, people legit don't like him because he's not white. You know, the only difference between Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater, who's over at TNA right now, is that Jinder Mahal is a black man, a brown man. You know, the only real difference between Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal is that Jinder Mahal is a black man, he's a brown man. Jinder Mahal has a great build. He's tall. He's a great finisher. Everything about the man is great. Like, he rightfully was a heavyweight champion. I think before Drew. If I'm correct, I think before Drew. Because I don't think Drew was even in the WWE at that time. Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre both left. Jinder Mahal stayed in WWE. And I think that was honestly the biggest mistake that Jinder Mahal made in his career. Was just maybe it wasn't in the sense of getting a paycheck and getting paid. Maybe he does like house shows or dark matches. They did it a lot because like you have to remember like they're on the road 360 days of the year. Like they're on the road every single day. They're doing performances and shows everywhere. So just because you don't see someone on Monday Night Raw because they're not a part of the overall storyline there, it doesn't mean that they're not on shows. They're not performing. They're not. You're just not seeing them because you're not paying to go see live. You know, a lot of these guys are doing live shows. Like Omos, for instance, you don't necessarily see Omos on live television, but he'll do house shows and he'll be on the road doing shows, and he's very popular on the road. You know, he's just not popular on TV because of people that over criticize everything. The Rock came out, he did his thing, and this was just, I don't know, man. Because there was no wrestling going on. Sorry, I'm sorry for all the yawning and stuff. I don't know why I'm yawning so much right now. I am having a great time doing this. But the yawns just keep coming. I don't know why. I can't control it. I can't control it. But this is just a great example of like the rising tension within this all. Jinder Mahal does his thing for a while. That could have cut off right there. Everyone could have been disappointed. The Rock comes out. He does his thing, and that becomes a rising tension moment. And when it comes to the wrestling, you know, he expected a complete squash, but Jinder got out there. He got on Rock's ass early on, like he expected it. He was pissed off at The Rock, too, because The Rock just kind of basically buried him. You know, Rock does his thing, he does his little move, and then he challenges Roman Reigns. A very indiscriminate challenge, a very discreet challenge, but then he challenges Roman Reigns for his belt. Should I sit at the head of the table? And I fanboyed. I screamed. I was like, oh my God, really? I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe he said that. So I was thinking it's just going to be Jinder Mahal versus The Rock. I would have took that for real. Like, that would have been cool. Seeing The Rock back in any capacity would have been cool. But seeing The Rock versus Roman Reigns, even if it's kind of a shitty match, I think it'll be pretty good. You know, before The Rock gets injured, does his own thing, and goes off. And then we're at the main event, which was Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, which, as I said, I still have not seen yet. Sadly, I still have not seen. Why I have not seen it, I don't know. From what I'm watching it on, sometimes, like, my cut goes in and out. Sometimes I got to run inside to give the kid, like, a shower or a bath or something, or clean up the kitchen, and then, like, I miss 30 minutes, 20 minutes of Raw or any other show in a given day. I did not see the main event of Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. I might run it back and watch it another time, but I just don't really see. This was a great main event for a Monday Night Raw. This would not have been a great main event for a pay-per-view or a PLE now. Why do I say that? And it's not Drew McIntyre's fault. When Drew McIntyre was the champion, Drew McIntyre was the greatest thing that ever happened in professional wrestling. Seth Rollins just is not that strong of a champion. Seth Rollins is great as a contender. Seth Rollins is great as an underdog. I feel like Seth Rollins, for me personally, Seth Rollins is someone that I really want to be able to root for. I really want to cheer for Seth Rollins. I really want to get behind Seth Rollins. I've seen everything Seth Rollins did during the pandemic. I saw the whole thing where he took CM Punk's straight edge society gimmick basically and called himself the Messiah. Seth Rollins kind of put like a really bad taste in my mouth that now with his back damn near being broken, I'm just not really like, I'm just kind of like ticking the clock down on the amount of matches that Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan have left before they are completely invalid in a wheelchair and unable to move. Because I just don't feel like he's taking his health seriously. I get that you're the champion. You don't want to just vacate your champion. It's very hard to get a title match. It's very hard to get a title match. It's very hard to get a title around your waist because you might get the title match, but you probably lose the title match. It's good to see Seth Rollins as champion. It's good to see Seth Rollins as a face of the company, if not the face of the company, quite honestly, because you never see Roman Reigns. But Roman Reigns has leukemia. So I feel like the reason why you don't see Roman Reigns too much is because he might be doing chemotherapy, and that might be pretty tough on him. I do not know that for certain. I do not know that for sure, but that is just my imaginary guess at Roman Reigns' health condition and why he's not on the show every week. There was a while when he was on the show Monday and Friday every single week. He is not right now, and I have to think that has to be because of cancer and injury. Don't forget that the man has cancer, because people criticize Roman Reigns a lot, but the only reason you did not see primetime Roman Reigns was because at the time he had cancer. And he had to leave for leukemia during the pandemic. So it was very important. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was happening. We just knew that if you had a pre-existing condition, it might be exacerbated because of COVID-19, because of the coronavirus that was going on at that time. With that, I feel like Roman Reigns has ducked Seth Rollins his entire title run. There was a time period in which Seth Rollins did not have any belt and Roman Reigns did have a belt. And I feel like the main reason Seth Rollins has a belt is because he is the best in the world. I don't care how big you are. Like, Seth Rollins can beat anybody. You go through that list again. Brock Lesnar, he's beat him. Bobby Lashley, he can beat him. Roman Reigns, he can beat him. Seth Rollins, he can beat himself mentally. He can also overcome himself mentally like he's doing every week, going out there with a broken back. I don't know who else was on that list. You're not beating Seth Rollins. And judging by the newscast, judging by the responses of the next night, I didn't think Drew McIntyre was beating Seth Rollins. Sometimes I just don't see a point in facing the champion. I feel like you can make a strong to go back to Ron the Truth Killings. Something I will advocate for him for is that he's made a very credible name for himself, a very interesting name for himself. And he's only ever been the 24/7 champion. He never had been a real champion to my knowledge. I think maybe back in the day he was a tag team champion, but I don't recall him ever really holding any major belt in the WWE. But he is one of the most recognizable characters. You can be a great superstar and he can be a great addition to the roster without being the champion. I feel like a lot of these guys who consider themselves top guys, they can't see themselves being a top guy without having a belt. And I think that's a lack of creativity, a lack of storyline. There's other things for Drew McIntyre to do other than having the belt. He could just be going through the roster, beating everybody. He could just be a hardcore champion or something like that, just having street fights, just having matches. It's like if they're not in the title picture, they don't feel any sense of worth or any sense of value. But Kofi Kingston, Big E, they had both been. I mean, they had also been tag team champions for like damn near a year or so, and incredible feats doing that. But they had never held any singles gold. I feel like your ego and your pride get in the way sometimes of what the right decision is to do, and then you're just kind of fucking stuck. And I get that kind of Drew McIntyre vibe. I feel like Drew McIntyre finds himself stuck because if he left the WWE, he would not be making the same amount of money. He would not be performing for the same size of crowds. And honestly, this time next year, if he's stuck with WWE, he's probably going to be the champion for over a year because he could beat Roman Reigns. He could beat Seth Rollins if he really wanted to, if the storyline permitted for it. He could beat Brock Lesnar. He could beat Bobby Lashley. He used to be partners with Bobby Lashley and Baron Corbin. Those are the good old days. I think Drew McIntyre is at his strongest when he has people around him. Even when he just had a sword and he had Angela, he still had people around him. He had a giant fucking sword. I just feel like his character is in limbo. And maybe that is a part of the creative because it makes for a greater overcoming story later on of being in this rut, being in this darkness, being this heel character and then finally realizing I don't need a belt to be Drew McIntyre. I don't need to be the champion to be the man. I'm the man. I'm Drew McIntyre. Fuck Becky Lynch. I'm the fucking man. I'm Drew McIntyre. You know, and I feel like that kind of thing. I don't think Drew McIntyre needs to be a babyface or a heel. I think Drew McIntyre just needs to be Drew McIntyre. He's a very likable guy. He's gone everywhere and had success and had championships. I think it might be a little hard at his age because you only probably have a decade left, if that, to be doing this. And if it's going like this, you might have a year or two where you're not holding the champion. You might have a year off because of injury or months off because of injury. You know, you don't really know what's going to happen, and you're getting up there. He has a very muscular physique, and despite what you might think, having all those muscles actually makes you more prone to injury because there's no real fats protecting your body or protecting your skin or your organs. It's just tight ass muscle. You know, so maybe if he stretches more and does his thing, he might be champion pretty soon. But I don't see anyone beating Seth Rollins until his back goes out. This seems like the farewell tour for Seth Rollins because we aren't going to have another decade of Seth Rollins. We might have another decade of Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is one of these guys like Sting or Raven that might be competing and might be in this industry well into their 50s and their 60s, going on damn near to their 70s. There's some guys doing this way older than that, like Tully Blanchard and fucking, God, I don't remember the fucking guy's name, Arn Anderson. I think Tully Blanchard was what I was looking for. That's not the face in my mind, though. It's not Jim Cornette. I don't have the other guy's image in mind. There's Mark Armstrong. There's a lot of guys who are competing at a very old age right now, doing their thing. You know, even Homicide is still competing at a very high level, at a very competitive level, and he is old as shit. You know, to me personally, he's old as shit. You know, and he just did his thing with the junior heavyweight title in NWA. I did not see the match. I don't really feel like I needed to see the match. We might still watch it back and go over it. But it's just like when I heard that, I don't feel like anyone's beating Seth Rollins. I just don't. Seth Rollins is literally the best professional wrestler today. There's no one touching him. It doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how small you are. Maybe if you were Gene Snitsky or Mike Knox, you know, those are like the only two guys I would say might be able to put Seth Rollins in the dirt just because nothing that Seth Rollins is going to do is going to affect them. Other than that, what are you going to do against Seth fucking Rollins, man? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's my perspective. Those are my thoughts. Thank you for coming to World of Wrestling. Peace.